As tensions continue to rise in West Asia, Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system went into action early on Sunday, intercepting a barrage of rockets fired from Lebanon. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden expressed hope that Iran would stand down its threat to avenge the assassination of Hamas's leader in Tehran, as fears mounted that Israel-Gaza conflict could further escalate into a wider West Asia conflict. Haniyeh's death was one in a series of killings of senior Hamas figures as the Gaza conflict nears its 11-month run, while Hamas said it had begun a broad consultation process to choose a new leader. And seeking to bolster defense in the West Asian region in response to threats from Israel's foes, the Pentagon on Friday said it would deploy additional fighter jets and Navy warships to the region. Israel Army has struck Hezbollah launcher in Lebanon, from which they claimed the rockets were fired overnight into northern Israel as well as in the area of Marjayun in Lebanon. Amidst the growing tensions in West Asia, foreign governments continue to warn their citizens to leave Lebanon immediately amid fears of an all-out conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. The United States and the United Kingdom issued warnings to citizens in Lebanon to leave the country immediately on Saturday. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut has urged its citizens to leave Lebanon on any ticket available. Whereas giving similar warning, UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy said that the regional situation could deteriorate rapidly. The recent unrest was triggered by assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh on Wednesday and the killing of Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut. It is feared that the terror group Hezbollah could play a heavy role in any such retaliation, which in turn could spark serious Israeli response. And India's Trent Murray joins us live from Beirut for more on that. Hi Trent, good to see you. The United Kingdom Foreign Secretary says that the situation could deteriorate rapidly in the coming days. Do you agree with his assessment as you stand on the ground where the action is taking place?
Yeah, well, look, that certainly is one of many messages that we are hearing from foreign governments and foreign ministers advising their citizens to leave, because it really does feel like the situation could be on the brink of escalating into something quite major. We, of course, know that there are tens of thousands of foreign nationals here right now, and the concern is that if there is a major outbreak of war, then they could be stuck here, effectively leading to pressure on those governments to have to then evacuate them. We know that, of course, Lebanon and Israel have been trading fire since October of last year, but it really has been confined to the border regions. What Hezbollah is saying is that that airstrike on Tuesday, which targeted the southern suburbs of Beirut, really a stronghold of Hezbollah in this city, well, they say that that crossed red lines and violated the unwritten rules of engagement. And so they are vowing a pretty serious response. In their view, it will be a real response, not a symbolic one. And I think the concern is, could that response then prompt Israel to equally respond in a very strong way, targeting the Lebanese capital right where I am? That is the reason I think many of those governments are warning citizens to get out now while there is still a window of opportunity.
Okay. Trent, how does the security dynamic in the region change after the U.S. announced deployment of additional naval assets? Would they really be a deterrent, or is it, signs of things to come where they're preparing for an all-out offensive?
Yeah, I think deterrence is certainly one factor at play here with the deployment of those additional fighter jets and also warships. But I think more importantly, the reason they're being positioned here is because Israel is bracing for a major retaliation from both Iran and some of its proxy groups like Hezbollah. And so having those ships here and also fighter jets will allow the Americans to assist the Israelis in shooting down any missiles or rockets before they can enter Israeli airspace. Of course, We've seen this before, haven't we, back in April when Iran launched about 300 rockets and missiles at Israel. They were all largely able to be intercepted, but only with the help of the Americans, the British, and also some French. So I think that is what is at play here with those additional assets. There is also some discussion that having those ships in the region will assist if there is a major conflict, assist in being able to evacuate foreign nationals from Lebanon if the international airport for some reason is unable to have commercial flights coming in. Certainly in 2006, when there was a war between these two countries, Beirut Airport was one of the first sites targeted by the IDF. For many Lebanese, they remember that, and there's concerns it could happen again if there is another war.
Okay, Trent, when we were speaking yesterday, you mentioned that, unlike in the past, this time the chatter is quite muted from Iran and its proxies. How does that augur? Does that mean that there will be some retaliation just for the show of it, to give some kind of lip service to it or deal with their domestic audience? Or is there a real serious threat of a multi-pronged attack from, say, the Houthis in Yemen, the Iranians, the Syrians, the Hezbollah on the anvil?
Yeah, I think the threat is very, very real, and I think the reason we can say that comfortably is the warnings and the messaging that we are getting from diplomatic sources and governments. What you need to remember, of course, is you mentioned them. There's many groups here, the Hezbollah, Hamas, the Iranians, the Yemen Houthis, but they're all linked. They're all part of what they call the axis of resistance, and they largely all consider Israel their enemy. So a multi-pronged attack is very much something that is, I don't think, hard to imagine, and it's something that diplomats are very concerned about. And for that reason, I think many airlines here have cancelled their services out of fear that there could be some sort of approach or an attack like that. In terms of what the Iranians are saying, well, certainly their state media is making it clear that an attack will come. But what we understand is there's just not the same level of back-channel conversations taking place like there was in April. Back in April, they were quietly warning something was coming to let other countries in the region know, like Iraq, Syria, Jordan, for example. This time it would appear they're trying to maintain an element of surprise and really keep the Israelis on their toes. But of course, the risk with that is that the miscalculation or misunderstanding could be very prevalent and could spiral the situation out of control. So look, right now, just I think an atmosphere of unease, awaiting, I guess you could say, the proverbial storm which is to come. But diplomats are still working the phones right now, trying to diffuse tensions. We've just heard Jordan's King Abdullah has dispatched his foreign minister to Tehran to deliver a message on behalf of the Jordanian government. It'd be very interesting to see what that message is being delivered right now.
Okay, these are ominous signs, Trent, but we hope diplomacy prevails and good sense prevails. You take good care of yourself and be safe. Thanks for joining us.